I've been thinking a lot about time and our relationship with time, what informs our relationship, how it drives us, and how it changes as we age. Particularly since I spoke with Elizabeth Jurgensen last week about her interpretation of the Native American teachings of Grandmother Moon and how the cycles of the moon can teach us a different relationship with time and productivity. And as I was reflecting on our conversation, I was reminded of the fact that the number one obstacle that prevents a lot of people from taking action is time. I don't have enough time. It's not the right time. I don't have time for me. I don't have time to be healthy. I'll do it when it's the right time. So, in our 60-day reset, we send every member a questionnaire so we can get to know you and then help you use our program to achieve your goals and better health. And one of the questions on there is, what is your biggest obstacle? And time is the number one obstacle that is cited in our community as well. So, how we choose to spend our time, what we think is worth spending our time on, what's a good use of our time, what we consider to be a waste of our time, it really informs the container that we put our life in, the lens that we use to view things, how many possibilities we see for our life. This relationship with time is linked to our identity, to our sense of self-worth and self-love. Oh, well, I'm a person that does this with my time. I'm a person that doesn't do that. I'm not worth it. I've got to spend time on my partner, my kids, my elderly parents, my job, these things that I've promised in my community. I've got other commitments, and I always seem to come last, is something that I hear a lot from women in particular, but some men as well. And it's interesting that we then get into the space where we don't think that it's worth spending time on us, on our self-care, on our self-development, on just resting, sleeping, being with ourselves. And often what I find as a coach is that we're often chasing static goals. And then it doesn't give us room. We don't give ourselves room to change perspective. So we're tied up in this identity of this relationship that we have with time and what is worth spending time on and how much time there is left over for us. And we're often chasing one acceptable outcome and one outcome only instead of dwelling in all of the possibilities. And how we experience time is very much dependent on that set of acceptable outcomes, those acceptable rules within our family system that we were taught and that our parents taught us because their parents taught them, and then we continue unless we break the cycle of what is acceptable and we start to forge our own rules. And that very much dictates how we spend our time. And if we think about it, we're not time travelers, if we accept that convention, that reality, but we can be time shifters. We can bend time in the sense of how we experience time. So a minute takes 60 seconds to pass no matter what we do. But the way that we choose to experience that minute of being in the present and what exists for us in real time, ooh, that's open. That's for us to choose. And I really focus on quality time. Yes, there is a certain quantity of time, but we don't really know how much time we have. We don't have a crystal ball. Even if we get a disease diagnosis, we don't know the exact minutes and hours. So it very much is this open container where we don't know. We know that it goes fast. Life goes really, really fast. So this quality versus quantity, we often pit them in opposition to each other. There's got to be quality or quantity. Well, it can be both. But because we don't know what the quantity is, we can't control that. So we can only control the quality. Like, yes, there's so much time left over in the day after you've done the non-negotiables, your work, your time with family, things that you absolutely have committed to doing and you want to do or have to do, depending on the situation. And then, yes, there's a discrete amount of leftover time, for want of a better expression, or free time, as we like to call it, that's there for us. And then we get to choose what we do with that time. And some of us have more of that available time than others, for sure. That's absolutely a given. So, what I love about what Elizabeth was talking about last week is that Grandmother Moon teaches us quality of life. What do we value? What do we see? What's available for us? What's allowed in real time today? And then that brings me to something else that I'm constantly holding and wanting to balance and see differently and open up my perspective and possibilities with is my relationship with the present time. And I was thinking about this a lot recently when I was speaking to someone in our Skinny 60 community who said there's just never enough time. There's just not enough time in the day. There's not enough hours in the day to do what I want to do. And I always come last. Like I said before, I hear this every single week in my office hours as a coach. And I think that the quality and our experience of time is very much linked to our relationship in present time, with the present time, what's happening right now. And I know that this is something that I struggle with. And I've got to constantly redirect myself and remind myself that life happens now in the present moment. Because I can often get stuck in the past, looking back on the past, playing out the tapes of the past, the patterns of the past, the narratives. Oh, I could have done that better yesterday or even an hour ago. Oh, why did I do that? And reflection is important. But I can spend a lot of time, a lot of my present time in that space of the part very much being past driven. Conversely, I can also project into the future where, oh, well, I want this to happen. I'm working towards this. Well, when this happens, I'll be able to do that now. And I'd love to hear in the Facebook group or via email or with a review, let me know whether you can relate to this, whether this is a cycle that you get caught up in and you've got to mindfully redirect yourself out of that pattern. Because I'm much better about it now than I was when I was much younger. And I hope that in the future I will be even better with it. But it is a daily practice that I've got to remind myself to stay present. And that's why we do meditation, aesthetic dance, embodiment exercises, therapy, whatever modality, sound healing, whatever modalities help you stay present. Listening could be actually just a mindful reminding yourself, get back into the present. There's a lot of different tools in the toolbox that we can pull out to keep consciously redirecting ourselves to be present in time with ourselves. But this idea of cultivating a relationship with the present moment and taking action in that time, in real time, the time we live in now, in this moment, is very much tied to this self-love thing again, right? This relationship with self. And we often, I find, we're running away from the present time. We don't want to be in present time because of the discomfort that we might be experiencing. And by sitting in real time with the discomfort, whether it's feelings of self-loathing, whether it's the I'm not enough, I'm too much, nobody wants to hear what I have to say, or whether it's real grief and suffering, the loss of a family member, a loved one, feeling the weight of a huge disappointment of not getting a job or whatever it might be. And the discomfort that we feel then takes us out of real time. And we either start playing the tapes from the past, projecting in the future, and wanting to be anywhere else, which is why so many of us are craving disconnection, whether it be with drugs, alcohol, video games, all kinds of addictions. Not that there's anything wrong with those things in moderation, but when we start doing and engaging with those things in excess, then it takes us out of our experience, our quality experience with time. And then we're back into that loop of not having the quality that we are seeking. And that's there in the conundrum, isn't it? Where we're constantly grappling with that relationship. And the I'm not enough thing, I spoke about this in the first 4 episodes of the podcast. This I'm not enough thing, or I'm too much. So to me, they're the same thing. They're just 2 sides of the same coin. A lot of people, it's just, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not beautiful enough, whatever it might be. I've spoken openly about this quite a bit on the pod, and in my office hours each week, this comes up all the time. Mine I'm not enough story in time typically manifests as I'm too much. I'm too loud. I'm too opinionated. I'm too honest. I'm too ambitious. I want too much. And it really took me a long time to see that it was part of the I'm not enough. I'm not enough just being who I am with the desires in real time. Today, right now, I need to be different than I am. And so that is something that very much pulls me out of real time, where it's much more comfortable to obsess about the past and want to rewrite history or project in the future when I'm suddenly whoosh, I'm better. I'm the perfect version of myself. So it really spoke to me when Kerry Kaligi was speaking about giving your imperfect offering and having that be enough. And every time I do one of these interviews, I learn so much about life, and it gives me a slightly different perspective in real time. And I love the immediacy of being in conversation with another person, where you need to listen and be present with that person. And there are many reasons why I love being an actor and a presenter. Many reasons why I love story, why I love the arts, whether it's books, movies, theatre, songs, poetry, dance, whatever it is. I just love story. And there's an immediacy to it. You need to be present in order to take it in. And that's why, action films and rom-coms, it's escapism. It gives us an outlet to escape from our reality in time and go and exist in some other time and place. And that makes complete sense. And it's wonderful for entertainment. But by the same token, we can pull ourselves out of real time by wanting to escape what is here for us now. And so many of these podcast episodes are about being present in real time with yourself and what is available for you here in time. The juice. And it could be very uncomfortable and confronting. It could be euphoric. It could be a huge breakthrough. It could be everything, like Elizabeth was speaking about last week, that full moon phase or the dark phase, the waxing or the waning. Doesn't matter what phase we're in, there's learning and teaching and growth to be had at any phase. Speedweed was saying in his episode a couple of weeks ago about Edith Wharton, I write to figure out what I know. And then we were talking about how we were speaking to figure out what we know. Well, we live to figure out what we know. We make mistakes to figure out what we know. And we need time to do that. We need to be present in real time. And sometimes we need more time in the future to fully work it out. So a lot of what I see tripping people up, and I see this in my own life as well, but as a coach, is it's not the right time, as I was saying before. It's not the right time. It's not the right time. It's not the right time to change my eating. It's not the right time to resign from my job. It's not the right time to have a baby. It's not the right time to tell that person, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. It's not the right time to take that holiday. Whatever it might be. Says who? Says you. Says me. We get to decide whether the circumstances are right. And it doesn't mean we just act whenever without any discernment or thought or planning. But I do think that overthinking it and spending a ton of time spinning our wheels, worrying that we're going to make a mistake or that it's going to be wrong and I'm going to take a wrong turn. That's one of the biggest things. We spoke to Nell Wolfhard about this on the podcast, about making better quality decisions. She's the decision coach, and how the time spent on a decision doesn't necessarily equate to the quality of the decision. And that sometimes we just need to take action and we'll clean up the mess if it's the wrong decision, or we fall flat on our face and humiliate ourselves and we're embarrassed. I mean, that there in of itself is one of the lessons that we need to learn. So Speedway talked about this as well, didn't he? Talked about how often going down the wrong road is how we get to the right road. And it's not time wasted. Making mistakes is not time wasted. It's time well spent if we choose to hold it that way. That we are learning in time all the time. How many times am I going to say time? This could be a drinking game, couldn't it? How many times did I say time this episode? Life's always going to be busy. We're never going to know everything we need to know to make the choice, make a change, put ourselves on the line, put ourselves out there, take a risk, go into the unknown. But it's always going to be the right time to listen to your instincts and act on them. Always going to be the right time. Always going to be the right time to use your voice, to speak up, to ask for what you need, to communicate what you want. Always going to be the right time to do those things. And then it's never the wrong time to make amends if you make a mistake, if that's what you need to do, to change course, change direction. So as I was saying before, another thing that I hear a lot during my office hours and via email as a coach and with my friends and family too, and in dialogue with myself is, it's not my time. You know, well, it's my time every single day as it is yours. It has to be. Some of the time every day has to be spent on us, has to be spent on ourselves. Otherwise, everything falls apart. That old adage of put your own mask on and then assist others. But it's a conscious decision that some time has to be spent on your own self-care, your own growth, your own development, your own reflection, your own sacred space. There's always got to be time for that. So consciously making time for that has to happen. And then you're able to give more to others. You're able to be the best version of yourself. You're able to show up with better quality. So not waiting, just jumping in and living right now. And another thing that came up for me as I was preparing to interview Justin and London, who will come a little while down the road in a future episode. Oh, they're just Justin, Patrick Pearce and London Angel Winters. They're incredible. They work with sacred intimacy and that's just going to be the most exquisite conversation. But Justin reminded me of something from one of his teachers about this idea that if we accept that we're always failing every minute of the day, meaning we're thinking we could be doing it better. You know, when I fall into this all the time where I'm talking to someone going, oh, I could have said that better. Oh, gosh, are they getting it? Are they comfortable with me? Oh, God, do they like me? Am I doing this right? You know, whether it's work, social situations or anything. As a coach, sometimes, oh, gosh, I hope I didn't offend that person. Or, oh, am I being gentle enough? Are they understanding me? Oh, constantly. So if we accept, because the fear of failure, of getting it wrong, looking like an idiot, being embarrassed, is what holds most of us back from doing most of the things in our life. So if we accept that we're always failing, we're never going to get it exactly right because we're always learning and growing and we're never going to have it all figured out. That's the juicy journey of life, is that we get another chance to do it differently or figure it out or whatever it is. If we accept that we're failing in the moment and that everybody else is as well, and everybody's feeling a bit lost, a bit insecure, a bit, I could be doing it better, a bit worried that they're looking like an idiot. If we accept that everybody's feeling that way, no matter how well they're concealing it or our perception is that they've got everything figured out, which nobody does. It actually then becomes funny. It becomes a funny, liberating truth that sets us free from the constraints of having to be perfect and get it right and have the answer and never make mistakes, which is the expectation that most of us put on ourselves. One of the big reasons why the mantra in our Skinny 60 community is good, better, or best, not perfect. And I put that into the community as much for myself as any of our participants because I need to hear it every day too. And as I am sharing that on the first call of every cycle or on subsequent calls throughout the cycle or in emails, it's a great reminder for me as well to continue walking the talk with that and being in practice with it. Again, as Kerry Kaligi said, give your imperfect offering. So then we get to laugh. We get to laugh at ourselves and it takes the pressure off and then it gives us more room to breathe. To breathe in time gives us more air and freedom and compassion and forgiveness and joy in real time, in the present. And again, going back to that notion of time well spent. What is time well spent versus time wasted? So again, like we were talking about with speedweed, if we are constantly living in time to figure out what we know, to learn, to grow, to make mistakes, to then do it a different way, we get another chance. As Elizabeth was saying last week, the cycles of the moon teaches us we always have another chance to shine. Always, because the light will return, even if we can't see it right now today. So we don't have to worry that we're always going to be in the same place in time. Even if we're playing a tape from the past and we're stuck in that, we're never in exactly the same relationship with it because we're in a different time with it. So even though it might feel like we're stuck, there's change bubbling, wanting to break through under the surface, which is what propels us to finally make a change if we need to. And I see this all the time as a coach where someone knows they want to make changes with their health. They've gotten the talk from their doctor. They've got high blood pressure and cholesterol. They've got a pre-diabetes diagnosis. They want to lose weight. They're not sleeping through the night. They don't have energy. Their hormones are all over the place. All kinds of reasons why people come into our community to make the changes they want to make so they can have better quality of life. But it can take time to get to that place where we are ready to do that. And so we're constantly navigating that relationship with what we know and that relationship with our own depth, as Speedweed said the other day. And if we embrace that we're always learning and growing, and that is, for if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know my favorite quote is the Nelson Mandela quote, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So if there's only winning and learning, then at any time, there's always growth. There is no such thing as going backwards or losing time or wasting time because every experience gives us the tools for the next experience. So then we start to celebrate time and our relationship can change with it. Even if we feel like we're stuck in this moment, we can draw from our experiences in the rest of time that can then shift what we're experiencing in the present moment. And that's why resting, sleeping is so incredibly important. You know, we often think of resting and sleeping as kind of a means to an end, bit of a waste of time. We're not doing anything. It's not productive. You're lazy. As Elizabeth was saying last week, that internalized capitalism that we have to be doing, achieving, full, bright, amazing, the fullest, most incredible version of ourselves, or we're not of as much value. But that resting and sleeping, it's in the stillness, the quietness that we can listen, we can integrate, we can reflect, we can take stock of the lessons. We can invite in a different texture, a different perspective, a different possibility. We can see it if it presents itself. We can invite it in. We can hold it. And then we get to experience time differently again. And that idea of there's not enough, as I was saying before, like, oh gosh, I fall into this quite a bit when I see a big long to-do list. My inbox is completely full when I wake up. Oh God, I don't have enough time to do everything today. There's just not, I'm just never going to get it all done. You know, you've got a deadline, and those are all real realities. But if we just sort of take a breath, take stock and go, okay, there's only so many hours today. What has to be done today? How am I going to get it done? If I can't do it on my own, I got to ask for help with anything, whether it's work or in life. We're not meant to do it on our own. So if you can't get it done on your own, outsource it, ask for help, delegate, ask for what you need in order to get the things that you need to get done in your life. Well, it can only be done by me. It has to all be done by me. Is that true? Or is that the way that you're choosing to see it? And listen, as the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm going, Tess, you're a control freak. You like to do everything yourself so that it gets done exactly the way that you like it done. And I can absolutely be that way. And I can be a micromanager, and I can be someone that wants to do it all, or it's not going to get done exactly how I want it done. And I need to constantly remind myself that actually, first of all, I can't do it all myself. And secondly, somebody else might do that actual task better than me. I just haven't seen it yet. And even if they don't, is it okay? Yeah, most of the time it is, actually. And my flavor or brand of doing things may not be everybody's cup of tea either. So I'm also opening up opportunity for there to be some other flavors in my offerings, in my work, for example, but then in life. Again, it just puts some more air and possibilities into the story. If we accept that there is only a finite amount of time, we accept that that is the nature of time as human beings who live and die, and that there is a cycle of life, and we all have so many years on this planet, so much time. Instead of that being something we rub up against, it actually becomes our greatest teacher and friend, because it does remind us to continue inviting in quality. So as Elizabeth was saying with the moon teaching last episode, if we rush things, if we're in a hurry, because we're just, we want to make the most of everything. We're kind of holding everything so tightly, and it's sort of, everything becomes a blur. We're on kind of a bullet train, a speed train, where all of the landscape just becomes a blur and we don't see it. We can't smell the flowers. We can't breathe in the air. We miss things. Not only can we make more mistakes, we're going to make mistakes no matter what speed we're going at, but we don't take in the view. We don't savor the deliciousness of life, as she put it last week. The other thing that I'm noticing about going fast, because we're in such a fast-paced society, you know, we're in that social media, a handful of characters, 30-second videos, we're scrolling, you know, on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it might be. And there's all these quick, short bursts, a snippet of the story. A lot of it is clickbait, and some people are very good at it to get you to stop, giving you a sliver of the whole story. And when we're going too fast, we don't engage our critical thinking, our questioning. Is this true? Is this correct? Is this a story that I want to be putting into life and spending my time with? And there is so much misinformation coming from governments, coming from the media, coming from all kinds of places where it's not actually things that really happened in history. It's really alarming. And now with AI, it's getting so sophisticated. So we need to be spending some time to actually assess, breathe something in and go, is this actually true? spending some time investigating if that thing that you're taking on as reality actually happened. And so that relationship with the time that you spend on that dramatically affects how you see and experience the world in the rest of your time. So that slow and steady pace that Elizabeth was talking about last week about the waxing and the waning. We want to go fast. We want to experience it all. But that patience and discipline to practice discernment about where we put our time, where we place our time, how we place ourselves in time, and who we give our time to. Whether that's an influencer on social media, whether that's a politician, whether that's a TV show, a media outlet, a friend, a family member, our own thoughts, whatever it is, what and who do we give our time to? It's like a sacred gift, our time really is one of the most precious things that we possess. So there's got to be some discernment and mindfulness about what we do with our time. You become like the people you spend the most time with. So who do you need to break up with or choose to spend less time with in order to be the person that you want to be? Who helps you expand into the better parts of yourself? And who keeps you confined in the same patterns of self-loathing and anger and disassociation and disconnection and so many of the things that we talk about on this podcast with our guests, with Amir and Kerry Kaligi recently, Speedweed, Elizabeth, with Shavita Kotak, with so many of the people that we've spoken to. I'm just listing off the people that are in recent memory in the last couple of months. But all of those guests who are moving through the world in a really conscious way and have a conscious relationship with time that they have cultivated, and admittedly, many of these people are in their 50s. So this is something that has been cultivated over many years and something that they have come to and changed their relationship with, like me, in their 50s, in midlife, or in their 60s. That is the benefit and the wisdom of age, of having more time on this planet with life. And again, so many of these podcast episodes are about celebrating the wisdom of age, not looking at it as a liability, looking at it as a strength, as a gift that you have to share. This different perspective about time. Because when we're young, we think we've got all the time in the world. We're indestructible. Nothing's going to bring us down. We've got all the time in the world. And then we get older and we realize that that is not the case. And so again, the quality invitation becomes very palpable, and we can choose to take it up more. It's very obvious, particularly as you get into your 80s and 90s. So the relationships, the circles, the programs, the communities that you choose to put yourself in time, as Amir Kaligi said, he likes to look at his men's circle as a lab. I loved that. It's a lab for men to consciously practice how they want to be in life, how you want to be in the world. So what lab are you putting yourself in? Whether it's a lab in your mind, a container in your mind with yourself, the stories and the narratives that you're living with, or whether it is a lab with somebody else or a group of people. And being mindful and discerning about where we're placing ourselves. With regards to the work that I do, and I've said this on the pod before, that the way that I coach is that I use food as a portal, the relationship with food as a portal of discoverability for our self-love and how we view life. And the way we choose to nourish ourselves or not is a direct reflection of how we treat ourselves in the rest of our life. And I have never seen an example where this is not true. So the ability to sustain better choices and engage in self-care in an ongoing way is directly related to our self-love, our view of ourselves, our self-esteem, that I'm not enough thing again. And so the biggest obstacle, as I said, was time. But then the next one is that I'm not enough piece, that self esteem piece. So, what I've discovered as a coach is that it's actually not about willpower, whether or not you can stick with healthy food choices or exercise or go to bed early and get good quality sleep and manage your stress, for example, which I consider to be the four core tenets of better health. And then obviously mindfulness and that sort of thing is an overarching umbrella over those core things. Once we can work with that, first of all, admit it to ourselves and that there's no shame because everybody else is battling that too, by the way, myself included. And our relationship with that can change. If we accept that everybody is experiencing that I'm not enough or I'm too much, just or imposter syndrome or just like everybody's failing, like I said before, then we can start to work with how we can spend some of our time on self-care. And that is a lot of the work that I do in my office hours every week is thinking about this, working with this, shifting our relationship with this, which is that everything is easy and everything is hard. Everything, every single thing that we do in life. There's an easy and a hard component. And I've given this example before on other episodes, but I'll give it again because it's such a powerful one that we can all relate to, which is driving through the McDonald's drive-through is easy. Don't have to think about it, happens in minutes. I eat it, I don't have to go shopping, I don't have to cook and chop and dice and clean up. Easy. So I'm front loading my easy. But then that food is difficult to digest because it's very poor quality food. And then life gets a whole lot harder if I front load my easy all the time and eat a lot of fast food, just like in the Supersize documentary. Then life gets hard, gets way harder because I'm going to get a disease. I'm going to have poor health. I'm going to not sleep. I'm going to have low energy. I'm not going to feel good about myself. I'm going to carry extra weight. My hormones are going to be all over the place. I'm going to have, anxiety or whatever it might be. So then my quality of life in time and my quality of time starts to diminish. Whereas it takes more time and it's harder to go to the grocery store, chop and dice, wash the dishes to prepare a healthy meal. So I'm front loading my hard. And then the food is easier to digest. And then life gets a whole lot easier when I'm sleeping through the night and have energy and I feel great about myself and I'm the weight that I want to be and my hormones are optimized and my blood sugar is great. My skin looks luminous. My hair is great. And I live a long, happy, healthy life where I can do whatever I want to do. We never want our health to be the reason why we say no to anything. Why time becomes a noose around our neck because we are not experiencing joy and quality of time. So spending some time on self-care every day, you then kind of in a way get to bank time because then you have more quality time and then you have potentially more time on this planet because you don't die earlier of a disease that could have been prevented with proactive food and lifestyle choices. So this whole idea of I don't have time to eat healthy, I don't have time to exercise, please make some time for better food and lifestyle choices so that you can experience more quality time, more quality of life. What is your relationship with time? How do you see time? How has your relationship with time changed throughout your life? How are you grappling with time now? How do you want to spend your time? Who do you want to spend your time with? What do you want time to say about you and how you existed in it? What you did with it? If she was a character, if she was a loved one, what would you want her to say about you? It's a question I'm asking myself at the moment, so I'm very interested to hear what resonated with you with this. Please leave a review, a note in the Facebook group. I'd love to hear about your experience.
I want to hear about your It Has to Be Me story. So head on over to ithastobeme.com/stories to share it in our free community. You can also join the conversations we're having about this episode and others. I'm Tess Masters. Join me next week and we'll dive inside another great story to help us go from dreaming to doing.